start recording. So we are live. Hello there. Thank you for joining me. Let's start with some basic things. Tell me first a little bit about yourself. How do we call you, and what do you do in general?
Online I go with Prot19. I have a blog at port19.xyz where I post about twice a month. And about a year ago, I finished my bachelor's degree in computer science here in Germany. I worked for a couple of months as a Linux admin, and I'm now pivoting actually to elderly care nursing, so geriatric nursing. I just finished a 2-week internship in that area, and I quite enjoy it. So that's kind of a change of pace happening right now.
Yeah, quite a shift there. Yeah, very good. Okay, I'm curious if you can tell me a little bit about that, but towards the end, because first I want to cover the main topic that you told me about. Of course, I know you from Emacs, but you told me that maybe it's better to talk about repetitive strain injury and what you did about it, and custom keyboards and the dictation and everything related to that. So maybe we should start with this.
So I noted, I saw on your channel that you yourself struggled with repetitive strain injury in the past. So I think this makes a lot of sense to, have kind of two recovering like experts on the matter and just put this out there for everyone, like as a focused episode. Myself, it started in 2021 actually. So with this keyboard, I'm just gonna hold it into the camera.
Good.
Like just a custom QMK keyboard, like nothing too fancy. And starting with the college, I had to type a lot more, and ergonomics wasn't quite dialed in. So for me, it was mostly concentrated in the hands and in the fingers.
Where exactly in the fingers? Where exactly in the hand? Because of course there are different types of injury,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you can get pain pretty much everywhere. So for me, it was most notable like in the back of the hand, as well as like down the second half of the fingers, especially like high frequency fingers. If you Google a heat map of QWERTY, you can kind of see the rough distribution of which finger does how much work, and you can kind of estimate that way which fingers were hurting for me. And the pinky as well, due to modifiers.
Was it on both hands or specifically the left hand?
Both hands, but if I recall, I think more dominant on the right one, which is in line with the heat map.
Okay, I see. At the time when you started feeling the pain, what were you using as your editing environment, like for all that writing you were doing?
This was briefly before I jumped to Emacs. So at that point, I was still using regular tiling window manager with Vim and those kind of tools. Qt browser was a big thing back in the day for me.
So basically a keyboard-driven workflow. So Vim,
yeah, for sure.
tiling window manager, all that. Okay, Qt browser. Okay. Because there is, of course, this notion, which I think is true, that if you are using Emacs, because of how heavily it relies on the modifiers with the default key bindings, then, of course, pressing and holding all those modifiers the whole time kind of stresses the fingers. But, of course, you can get repetitive strain injury without Emacs, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I guess later on Emacs didn't help, but it was... I first started with Doom Emacs in the beginning of 2022. So evil mode all the way, so didn't really matter in that regard.
So how did you start dealing with it? So you start feeling pain. What is your first reaction?
So my first reaction is to, Google around a little bit. What are like the easy things that I can implement? And at first I did a lot of stretching. That was like my first avenue. I really went down deep. And I think the page that really helped me was rsipain.com.
Okay.
And they have a subpage dash stretching minus exercises, I believe. And on there you have like maybe 2 dozen stretches you can do that go into the forearm and the fingers, the hands. Like one that I remember is if you kind of put your hands together and then shift to one side, it kind of stretches here the underside. I think that was the most efficacious.
Yes, yes. Okay, sounds good. What about your habits in terms of the split between physical activity and then computer activity? Because one of the problems with RSI frequently is like spending a lot of time on the computer. So even the most ergonomic setup ultimately is not good if you're like
Yeah, I
12
think at the
hours.
time I was quite sedentary, so that didn't help either. Like I have these phases where I exercise more and exercise less. That was definitely one of those phases where I didn't exercise much at all.
So you were on the computer for hours on end.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I mean, I did take somewhat frequent breaks, but those only helped so far. Like getting up once an hour, moving around for a minute, that helps, but it's not sufficient.
How about now? What is your routine or what you try to do anyway?
I would say now it's really quite good as I'm not currently working in general and I'm not working in IT specifically either. So I'm typing much less at the baseline. But still, I think the new keyboard I have that helps a lot with lightweight key switches. I think that's mainly the single most important factor for me in my type of RSI is to have lightweight key switches, which I only got like maybe a year ago at this point.
Okay. We will get into this. So yeah, okay, let's go back
Yeah.
because now you mentioned the keyboard. So you start with the stretches, you read about that, you try to incorporate those in your daily workout. Then what is the next step?
So the next step is, as the winter is kind of progressing in 2021, I'm not really getting rid of the pain. I can briefly alleviate it. I can kind of keep it from getting worse. But then I stumble also like a recommendation on the RSI pain website onto a recommendation of a short book on like psychosomatic pain and how this reinforcement of if you have habitual pain, like every time I go on the computer, I have pain. There's a sort of neurological reinforcement there, and then you're more sensitive to it. And reading about this mechanism and about how sometimes some psychological stress can influence the things that really helped me to contextualize it and then to deal with it. And it was almost, as I read the first couple of chapters, like the pain got easier just from reading it.
So the realization itself that part of it is
Yeah.
mental, yeah. How does the mental aspect relate to the physical aspect in terms of the workout, in terms of the changes to your habit and to your way of working? Like, how specifically do you target the mental? Or you don't, you just think about it?
I would say largely I don't target the mental. I mean, it's nice to reduce stress where possible and do some relaxation or whatever, but I mean, that's neither here nor there, so that's kind of unconcrete. What I did do is I reduced actually my stretching because there's a kind of warning they give you that if you hyper focus on the stretching, then you kind of reinforce this notion that like, your hands are broken and it's all physical and, you're never going to be pain-free again. So kind of taking a step back, that really helps.
Yeah. Of course, now unrelated to what you are discussing, but I remember when I was doing sports, playing football specifically, there was a time where I had a lot of issues with cramps in early adolescence. And I was thinking, no, I have to be careful not to feel the pain, not to feel the pain, not to feel the pain. And then, of course, I would feel the pain. And maybe it is the same kind of mechanism of me trying to hyper focus on avoiding the pain only to eventually deal with it. Of course, I don't know, but I'm just mentioning it.
Well, that's plausible, yeah. I mean, for many people, like headaches, back pain, are much more common, of course, than what we have with the RSI. So the author of the book that I read hypothesizes that many back pain sufferers have a large psychosomatic component to it.
Okay, I see. And so, of course, if hyperfocus is a contributing factor, I guess acceptance is the remedy in that regard, or and has an ameliorative effect where it kind of eases the pain. Yeah.
It is definitely an amelioration. So the pain doesn't instantly go away, but you learn to cope with it and it does reduce. And then if you combine this with perhaps some unrelated, some better ergonomics, some better work habits, this kind of compounds you to a place where you're below this threshold where you feel the pain, right?
I see. Okay, very interesting. Okay, so you incorporate this realization in your routine, and then what is the step you take after that, until you eventually reach the keyboard? And by the way, my puppy here, okay, he's right behind me, so I have to be careful not to step on him.
Yeah, sure. So like it kind of comes in waves or like in phases, depending on how much I do on a computer, like other circumstances of life. So I was fine for a while throughout 2022. And, then I had like a couple of weeks again where I had some issues and it was better again. I would say most recently was in, I think it was 2024, early 2024, where I had like a MacBook Air, M1 MacBook Air, I think. I frequently change my hardware, so I kind of get it mixed up sometimes. And I used the built-in keyboard, and it was really quite unergonomic compared to what I use now and what I used before. And I really noticed that quickly that this is suboptimal.
So, of course, the layout has the well-known issues compared to...
Yeah.
But what about the keys themselves? Because you mentioned light switches, which I will get to. What about the keys themselves on the Mac? How was the tactile feedback there? I mean, the pressure and all that.
Well, I mean, I think it's a chiclet-style keyboard, if I'm not mistaken. So there is a nice tactility to it and decent weight. Like, I think it's not a bad laptop keyboard, especially compared to, like, I had a Dell before, and the Dell was terrible. It's a decent keyboard, but the keys are too heavy. Like, just in aggregate, if I type a lot, it's not good.
Yeah, okay, I see. So eventually you got the keyboard you have now?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure when, but say maybe 9 months ago. So
maybe you can show it. Yeah. And let me, one second, because I have the split view in Jitsi, let me focus on you for now so that we can get, so it's only you now on camera.
All right.
We can see the keyboard. Yeah, so maybe you can put it a little bit back. Oh, okay, good. Is this the Voyager?
Exactly. This is the ZSA Voyager, quite a popular keyboard nowadays.
Yes, and it also looks good, I must say, apart from the practical.
Yeah, it looks good. It has this this portable, like this kind of casing, I think. That's also convenient. I used to bring it to work and then, unpack and then bring it back. Also, like I have a new mouse. Perhaps you can show this as well.
Yeah. Let me focus on you again because I got the. Okay,
Yeah.
show the mouse again, please. Go a bit back so that we can see it. Okay, great.
So this is a
What's the
very
deal with
lightweight
this?
mouse.
Okay. That's
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't help as much as a keyboard, but it's still, it's all about the compound effects. So compared to, this is, I think, 40 to 50 grams, and my mouse before was a Logitech G305 with about 100 grams,
oh,
and you definitely feel the difference.
yeah, of course. And exactly what you said, it's the compounding effect because if you use it for like 5 minutes, of course, it doesn't make a difference. But if you use it over the
Yeah.
course of days and weeks and months, then of course that adds up.
Yeah, so I mean, if you think about your grandmother just on the PC for like 20 minutes a day, like she can use the most unergonomic stuff ever and won't have a problem with it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk a little bit about the keyboard, the Voyager, because of course,
Yeah.
I remember when I was doing my research into keyboards, there is a lot to learn. Because of course you see it, it's split, but there are more parts to it. It also has a
Yes.
different layout to the keys and the switches and the keycaps and all that. So maybe you can first tell me a little bit about what is the main difference when you go from a standard mainline keyboard to a keyboard like the Voyager.
For me, the split aspect doesn't make much of a difference, I would say. Since for me, like it was never about the angle of my hand. I didn't really have wrist pain. I think I benefit a little bit with the columnar stagger, which is of course, the default is the row stagger, and then if it's just a grid, it's off a linear, and then if you shift it proportional to your finger length, it's a column stagger. So that helps a little bit, I feel like. Thumb keys is big. Having either backspace, enter, or even modifiers on the thumb keys, that helps for sure. Also, it's low profile. So for me, the angle that I tilt my hand at, that makes a big difference in my particular case. So for me, a low profile keyboard is very important. At least I realize now that I have this keyboard that this contributes.
Interesting.
And yeah, the key switches. Like this is, it's not a Cherry MX style, it's a Chalk style.
So Chalk version 1, I think, because of course there is a Chalk
Yes.
version 2, which is actually a different switch, basically.
I think these switches in particular, this should be the ambient nocturnals. I think they have like a 20 gram bottom out weight. So if I just rest my hands on the keyboard, it actuates the keys. Like I have to actively hover above it.
Wow, 20G, yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that
Just for
really
the
gets
listeners, the default, if you think of a Cherry MX Brown, is about 60 to bottom out.
Yes, exactly. And of course, I don't have the numbers, but on a generic laptop, maybe it's around that as well. Maybe it's I would say between 50 and
Perhaps
60.
in between.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
something like that. Yeah. Oh wow, 20. That's really
So yeah, that
low.
took some getting used to. Yeah. At the first couple of days, I accidentally pressed keys all the time.
How is it typing at speed? Because of course the lightweight means that you can just barely touch it, and of course you do this and you type, right? You type out the.
Yeah, I think
But at
marginally I'm faster. Yes, perhaps 85 words per minute instead of 80.
Okay, you are pretty fast already.
Just because it's it's a smaller switch, so it's like 2 millimeters of travel instead of 4 millimeters with a Cherry MX, and the weight, as you said.
Yeah. Okay, I see. In terms of the low profile versus the other profile, because earlier you showed another keyboard, the custom keyboard. what is it about the low profile which you think helps you?
So ideally, during typing, your hands should hover over the keyboard. I think that's fairly uncontroversial, but of course, over longer sessions, you might fall into a position where the balls of your hands rest on the desk, and you still have kind of your hand on the keyboard. And
Which is like this angle, right? Like
yes, and then if you compare just the steepness of it, perhaps we can once again show the
Let,
views.
let me focus on you. Good. Yeah, of course.
I think you should see the difference here.
It's
It's
pretty
night and
clear.
day.
It's pretty huge difference there. Of course, of course. So on the other keyboard, the taller one, of course it's taller, but if you also rest your palm on the desk or even on an armrest, right, and a palm rest,
Yeah,
you still have this really awkward angle, which me now just doing this, I already feel tension here. Just doing this, I haven't even
yeah,
typed anything.
exactly. And I think that's the same mechanism for me. And sure, it's kind of a hack to resolve like bad habits, but it works. So
Exactly. But fundamentally, it's that you really want to do something really different to break the habit, and
yeah,
maybe then create a new one.
it's also a thing where there's definitely some time where I consciously focused on, if I'm not typing, my hands go in my lap, go somewhere else, and
Ah.
not on the keyboard, because that's on the keyboard is the worst place to be for the hands, just for relaxing.
What about the usage of the mouse in light of what you just said? Because earlier you were using a tiling window manager, Qt browser, everything was keyboard driven. How
Yes.
about now? Is still everything keyboard driven, or do you try to use the mouse more so
No.
that you are away from the keyboard?
Yeah, it's more hybrid, more mouse driven even. So especially in the web browser, I feel like the web is just such a mouse focused medium, or perhaps recently even a touch focused medium with like mobile devices. So you really don't gain much of anything if you have a keyboard driven browser. Unless, we're talking very specifically, you're the developer and you need your Stack Overflow tab open. I understand that's a different scenario. But, for me, kind of exiting that IT space, it's different.
Exactly. Because this is actually one of the realizations I also came to, which was that having everything keyboard driven, of course, it's more convenient to use the keyboard, but comes at the cost of you use the keyboard all the time, which of course means that you put more pressure on your hands and fingers.
Yeah, also, I should note for gamers out there, like in the audience, if you can, try to use a controller for gaming, like just a regular gamepad controller, whatever, any brand. Because if you hold WASD all the time, like is also terrible. Like
I'm
perhaps
sure.
even worse than typing a whole lot of
Of
time.
course. Like so, me, I've never gamed with a keyboard, so I don't know how it is. If I try, I will be very clumsy. But basically, the idea is that you have your left hand always there, the equivalent of the arrow keys.
Yes.
Oh wow.
On WASD, so that kind
Exactly.
of
So
mimics the arrows.
basically, so you have like the equivalent of the arrow keys, and then with the other one, you use the mouse. That's how you.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm talking mostly about 3D games. There's definitely that's the established norm, yeah. And often, if you want to walk forward in the game, you press down the W key and you hold it pressed if you want to keep walking.
Oh, ouch.
So actually, perhaps I can show.
Let me focus on you as well.
Yes.
So
So I actually have some magnets lying around from, I don't know, my childhood or whatever. And
okay, good.
what I did is,
Let's see. Okay, so I
kind
see
of
the
these.
magnets. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so they are the size of a
I
small
put
battery.
them on the W.
Well, on the topic of hacks,
Yeah. I mean, if if you have to walk for like 5 minutes in a game, and some games it just is like that.
Well, of course, if you are playing especially those open world RPG games, like
Yeah, exactly.
you keep
Which
walking
I
into
mean,
the
it's not
window.
exactly my genre, but occasionally I dabble in it.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm surprised that they don't have like kind of a toggle for that. Like
They don't.
it
I mean,
seems.
I've never seen it. Like perhaps in
Mhm.
rare cases.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, of course, that's good because pressing and holding on the key, even if it's 20G, it's still the time that you have the
Yeah.
muscle stretched in that specific way. The tension you have there.
And also, you have to consider to keep it fully engaged. Like you're probably doing more than 20G. Like I would be
Of course,
surprised
of
if you
course,
are
of
like
course, of course.
precisely.
No, no.
It's probably upwards of 30, 40, like whatever.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And if you are pressing and holding, chances are that you forget and actually you have even more pressure.
That might be, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. Tell me about the keyboard itself. So it has thumb clusters. It has a columnar stagger. How is it to go from a keyboard which has lots of keys to a keyboard with fewer keys and with a different approach to the activation of, or rather the input of different kinds of characters? How is it to get used to that, and what is that even?
So for me, it wasn't as big of a jump because my previous keyboard, while standard in makeup, was already a 65%, what we call a 65% keyboard, where you have no function row, but you retain the arrow keys.
No function row. Sorry to interrupt. No function row, and
Yes.
also no the navigation keys as they are called, and the numpad, right?
Num cluster,
Num
right?
cluster, yeah, what you
Yes,
call.
no num cluster either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
So in that regard, there wasn't much adaptation, but it definitely took some getting used to with the column stagger instead of the row stagger. I think much more than even the switches or the low profile like this tripped me up for about a month, specifically with the C character.
The C,
Like I
yeah.
used to instinctively, move it with the different finger and then I mistyped an X or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard a lot of people make the same comment. Because, of course, a C on the generic row stagger would be what? Not the middle finger, the ring finger, right? Actually, I'm not sure. No, no. So
I
it's
think
the
it's the
middle
middle
finger.
finger.
It's the middle finger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I focused on you. Yeah, it's the middle finger. Whereas on the, yeah, okay, it's still the middle finger. But okay, I see how it is. Yeah.
But the direction, it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course,
offset.
of course, of course,
A
of
big
course.
deal, actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's huge. I can see because I have the laptop there, so I see the keyboard there, and then of course I have my keyboard here, and I.
Yeah, that's same setup for me.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. In terms of the layout of the keyboard, do you use QWERTY or did you switch to something else?
In the past, I dabbled a little bit with the Neo keyboard layout.
Okay, okay. I'm not
It's
familiar
like
with that.
optimized for German as well, the Neo and Neo 2 keyboard layouts. They are decently common, I would say. But I really didn't get too far into them because it's such a marginal gain for so much upfront cost that I wasn't willing to make the sacrifice. So I'm using the QWERTY layout. It's identical to QWERTY, except you have the Z and the Y swapped.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Which is,
just the
by the way,
German default.
standard for the German. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
What about this I don't know, like on a standard German keyboard, how do you insert special characters from a Latin perspective, the umlaut in particular? Like, how do you input those on a standard keyboard first, and then how do you do it on your keyboard?
Well, on a standard keyboard, on Quartz, they are on the keyboard itself, so on the default layer. So the Ö, which is the umlaut of O, is where the semicolon would be for the American viewers, and then to the right of it, we have the Ä, which is the A umlaut. And then I think in the, let's see, I'm not sure what it is, but on the top right of it, it's the Ü, it's a U umlaut.
Okay, I see. Where I think the square brackets are, the right and left square brackets.
Yeah, and those are extremely clumsy to access because you have to do this Alt-GR and then the 7 and 8 or whatever. Like years later, I still mistype them all the time. But I have them on a different layer on this keyboard.
Okay. And on your keyboard, how do you input the same characters?
So the umlauts, I input them just regularly, like on a normal keyboard. But I did adapt the parentheses and brackets to be on a different layer.
Yeah, so you have them where the pinky is on the right hand, in that direction. So where the semicolon,
the
basically
umlauts,
you keep them there. Okay, I see.
I kept them there.
Yeah. One nice thing with the Voyager, I must say, is that, of course, it has relatively few keys compared to a full-size keyboard, but it doesn't have this, which you see online with some people, like 34 keys or whatever, where it's really a big shift, and you really have to think in terms of multiple layers, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of kind of the philosophy, right? So I don't want to press a modifier to input a number. Like those are the really minimal keyboards. And even like from an ergonomic perspective, it's how much can my fingers travel and like how many modifiers am I comfortable with? Like if for whatever reason you have like very creaky joints or whatever, but you can hammer them down all day, then like a 40% or even smaller keyboard might be for you. Then you don't care about the modifiers.
Yes, correct. It's a matter of what your priorities are. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Speaking of modifiers, what kind of setup do you have for modifiers? Because, of course, the home row mods is usually a very popular choice. Not the only choice, but yeah.
Yeah. So I don't use home row mods. I'm familiar with them. I have shift on either side on the home row to the right. So not quite home row where you place your fingers, but to the outside of it.
Okay.
No, like on either end.
Okay, outside. Yeah.
So it keeps with the pinkies. And then I have my function key and some other layer key. I'm not sure which one it is exactly, but I have both on the thumbs.
Okay.
And then I have space and enter or tab. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I didn't really optimize that deeply with the keyboard layout.
Okay. So maybe you have some refinements to make there. What about Control, Alt, and Super?
Funnily enough, I always mess them up because they are on the bottom row where they are in the normal keyboard. But since this isn't a normal keyboard, I kind of switch up the positions. And I mean, I don't have to use I have to use the control frequently. It's in the bottom right of the right side. I think I have a left control as well, but I lost it in the forest. Yeah. So. But I never use the super key, for example, or the Alt is very rare for me to use. Because of course, with Emacs you can customize it that way that you have like the leader key with space.
Correct.
In general EL, and then on the web I do basic stuff.
Yes, very good point. So yes, in Emacs you can use leader keys and space. Doom Emacs does that, Space Max does that, and of course in your custom setup. But also, just to mention this, maybe you don't need it. Escape and X, for example, is the same as meta X. So if you type escape and then any character, it's meta character.
Oh, that's actually interesting. That's useful.
Yeah. So, for example, meta and C is to capitalize the word. I think the default is that, right? Capitalize the word. So escape C. That's the idea.
Interesting. I'm not sure if it's compatible with evil mode.
I'm not sure either. Yeah.
I mean, for any viewer out there, I think that's a good tip. For sure.
Yes. But I mean, if you don't have an alt key / meta key, maybe that's a way to go. Yeah. But not to say that it's the ergonomic way forward, but it's.
It's one way. I mean, like with the whole Emacs pinky thing, like many people put it on the, how do you say, caps lock? Yeah. So the control key, and there are many like small tweaks that you can do.
Yeah. That's, I think, basically the number one suggestion when it comes to the Emacs key bindings in particular. And of course, if you see various keyboards, like from older eras, but also modern keyboards, for example, how is it called? Happy Hacking keyboard, I think. Basically, they have a layout where the control is where the caps lock is. I'm not convinced personally. I'm not convinced that it's better than having it exiled down there in the bottom left corner, I think, in terms of how you access it. Because if you have to access it with your pinky and you have to do it down there, it's easier to do it where the home row is. In that sense, I think it's better. But I still think it's better to get used to using the modifiers on both hands, on a standard keyboard, I mean. Because if you do like something like caps lock and then X, like whatever you do, it's a weird thing there. You use the same hand and two fingers on the same hand. And if you do that all day, Control X, that's a problem. So get used to, even if it's awkward, do Control X, basically.
Also, because I know several viewers will do this, where they only use one of the shift keys, and that's really bad ergonomics. So whenever you type a character on one half of the keyboard, you should use the opposite shift key.
Yes.
Like that should make a difference.
Yes, exactly. And that's the idea with trying to use the modifiers on both hands, so that even if you have like the most generic keyboard, at least you are not stressing one finger or one hand all the time. You distribute the stress.
Actually, I think my meta key is right next to the X key. So that might be a rare exception where you can kind of roll it off. And
okay. That's fine.
Yeah. Also, I mean, some people use foot pedals for control. I've seen that.
Have you ever tried it?
I haven't, but it sounds like a fun idea. Yeah, to use that.
Yeah. It does the sound. I don't know how it will work because. I think right now I cannot even coordinate. Like even thinking about it, I cannot coordinate myself. So it will take a while to get used to that, I imagine.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, but I mean, sure.
You mentioned dictation, right? So dictation software. So of course you can make all these changes to your keyboard and all that stuff. But eventually, you also want to benefit from other options. So what about dictation? Have you tried? How does it work for you?
I think dictation is perhaps the biggest change you can make, even more so than the keyboard, especially if you write a lot of prose. And so this was the case with my bachelor's thesis, and of course with previous like seminary work, where you have to turn in these like huge papers with all those citations. Like I'm not a big fan, but you have to get it done. So in that case, I wrote a small script to do the dictation, and the underlying software I learned about, I think, in 2023 by accident. It is called a Whisper, as in to speak quietly, and it's a product by OpenAI, but I think it's a open model or whatever. It's in the standard Arch Linux repositories for one. So it's a Python -OpenAI -Whisper.
Okay, good.
And then you can make a quick wrapper around it with. So what I do is I invoke ffmpeg to record an audio file in the /temp directory, which I stop by pressing Ctrl+C. So it's a continuous thing, but and then it invokes the dictation software on that file. It takes perhaps maybe 5 seconds per half a minute, like 10 seconds per minute of audio recorded, And what you can do then is you use something like xclip or on Wayland W copy to put it in your clipboard.
Nice.
And that's the setup.
So if I understand it correctly, just to be sure I understand. So basically you kind of created a pipe, let's say, where you put stuff in it and then you take stuff out of it. So it writes to the file and then you have the script which copy pastes basically from that file to your buffer wherever you are editing.
Functionally speaking, yes.
Functionally, trying to understand the flow.
On a high level, that's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, first record, and I mean that file lingers around however long the PC is on, because it's on /temp, of course, and it will be overwritten with the next dictation. Actually, one thing I should note is during the transcription process of Whisper, it gives you the output, what it reads. So, and I don't suppress that in any way, because then I can see, oh, this and that word it got wrong, and if it gets too many words wrong, because perhaps I'm not speaking clearly or not loud enough, then I just redo the whole section. But usually it's quite accurate. I would say, like, if you speak for a minute, like, it will get 1 or 2 words wrong. And of course, if you have like hyper-specific jargon, then it will definitely get it wrong. But
understandable, yeah.
That's the nature of it.
Yeah. Okay. What about German? Because I imagine you wrote your thesis in German. So is it good with German, or is it just English focused?
I tested it with German as well. So I actually wrote a thesis in English.
Okay.
Only because the sources are in English, and that, kind of eases the process of looking at the citation and not having to mentally translate everything before you write the paragraphs.
I see.
So yeah, I wrote it in English, but it does work with German, with Spanish, with Italian, like several different languages for sure. Of course, your mileage may vary. Like, I'm not sure if it detects every language as good as English and German and these kind of high frequency languages. I'm sure it's decent at Chinese as well.
Yeah. So I imagine where it will get really tricky is once you go into these languages that have fewer speakers. Like for as long as you are, exactly. For as long as you are on the more widely spoken languages, you should be good.
Yeah.
With regard to typing, do you ever type or dictate on a device other than your main computer? Like the phone is a big one that people use. And on the topic of ergonomics, people who are on the phone a lot have the issue with thumbs, which they overuse, right? It's like, so do you do any dictation on the phone?
No. I mean, I only really use my phone if I go to bed, but I still want to go on Discord for some reason. So, kind of a bad habit, but that's what we all do. not everyone, but yeah.
I see.
I'm not doing much on my phone, just basic texting, like keeping track of expenses, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So basically you have optimized your setup on the desktop laptop, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You mentioned earlier that I want to go back to the keyboard for a second. That the Voyager is compact, so you can take it with you. If you don't have the option to take the the keyboard with you, what do you do? Or do you always take it with you?
I mean, I haven't been in the situation where I couldn't take it with me yet. So perhaps if we make up the scenario that, let's say I go visit my mom and, I only take the laptop because I'm constrained with space. In that case, I will just restrict my typing to the bare minimum and, do some basic content consumption with the mouse or with the trackpad, or just, use it as little as possible.
Okay. But basically, that's the exception. You won't be doing work in the sense of.
It's quite rare. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like when I was working as a Linux admin, I always was able to bring it into work. And of course, now that I'm not, I'm mostly at home. I can do whatever I want. And if I do go into nursing, you don't use the keyboard much at all, just for basic documentation.
Okay.
Like maybe say 20 minutes a day.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, I will ask you still about nursing because I'm interested in that. But first, let me ask the last thing about ergonomics because it's still important. About your desk setup and, of course, the chair and all that. Did you have to make any adjustments? Was there any contributing factor to your problem? How did all that fit in the picture?
Yeah. So one thing I can definitely say with the old keyboard that I showed into the camera is at work, before we had the standing desks, the minimum height, or I guess the default height, because it wasn't adjustable, was too high. So combined with the height of the keyboard, my hands were almost kind of forced, to go into this upward motion.
Ooh. So
and I combated this.
Just to show it a little bit. So you were typing like this, kind of?
I mean, of course, that's kind of hyperbole, but
exaggerating. Yeah. Instead of it being more down, it's more
down. Yeah, I mean, there's a ideal angle with how down it should be. So what I actually did was I took a stack of paper, like A3 paper from the local office printer, put it on my chair because the maximum height wasn't enough either, and then I kind of increased my height, and that was enough.
Okay. Yeah.
But at home, it's a good setup, I think. I'm average height, so I just use the IKEA Marcus, I believe. That's the chair, and it fits me perfectly because it's not adjustable, but I'm average anyway, so it's perfect.
Okay, good. What about the desk? Because you mentioned the standing desk. Have you ever used the standing desk? Do you use a standing desk?
I do not use one currently, and I only use it in stand-up mode for meetings. But those standing desks, they were able to go lower on the baseline than the non-standing desks.
Okay, so
this was actually still an upgrade for me, despite being seated.
Yeah, exactly. Because just to say, for me, part of the problem in my case with the RSI, of course, it was the keyboard. It was the habit of doing awkward motions all the time, like caps lock X. What I was telling you earlier. Terrible. But also it was the desk. So it was a weird angle, terrible chair. Basically, I had the worst of everything. So that's why I'm asking. It's important to have every aspect of it so that you are standing or sitting properly and you are typing at the correct angle and everything is basically correct.
Yeah, I would say in terms of ergonomics, especially recently, I'm having some back pain, like upper back pain, because I sometimes I lean on one side more heavily, and then it's kind of I get into this crooked kind of position, and but as long as I am active enough in my day to day, and I kind of shake everything out, it's getting better again. Like this was one thing that the nursing internship helped a lot with, because all of the movement, and my legs were that tired at the end of the day, but my back was feeling better than ever. So
Yes, of course, of course.
that was
Because I
great.
imagine the back. I don't know how it is with typing, but I imagine like if you are playing a game, because you mentioned the gaming earlier, like you kind of
Yeah.
have to sit in a specific position for a long time, maybe because you want to be more comfortable, and maybe you forget that it's not the right angle or something.
Yeah, I think this kind of makes sense, because if I lean to the left, where my WASD is, that hand can stay stationary while the mouse hand has to move. So I automatically shift my weight more towards the left
Yeah,
side.
and you are kind of, yeah, I see. Okay, okay. Yeah. So keeping that in mind as well. Very good, very good. I want to ask you now about nursing, because of course you mentioned it. I think we
Sure.
covered ergonomics. Is there something else about ergonomics you would like to say?
No, not really. I mean, the RSI stuff, I think we covered pretty well.
Yeah.
As I said, rsipain.com, that should be the
Maybe we can
first
also
link.
add all these in the description of the video.
Yeah. I will send you a couple of links, and then we just about the dictation, about the stretches, and then
Yeah. I
just
think
to
all
have
that
our
is
viewers
good.
covered.
Yeah. And just
Yeah,
to
we
add
can go into
one,
nursing.
yeah, but let me add just one little
Sure.
thing, which you have already, is that the keyboard is also programmable. So in the context of typing the frequent characters more, it's good to put them where it's more comfortable. You mentioned it already, like you did with the brackets and stuff. But so in case people don't
Yeah.
know, it's not just a smaller keyboard or a different keyboard. It's also programmable, so you put things where you want.
This is with custom keyboard layouts. I mean, you have some adaptation time, but if everything we talked about still doesn't resolve your issue, like definitely check that out as well. Like the Dvorak or Workman or Neo, if you're German, there are many options. That even, I mentioned the heat map during the beginning. And if you look at them, they are more spaced out, more even between the hands, and there are several stats there.
Yeah. Good. Very well. So let's go into your pivot away from IT into, I think so it's nursing, but I think you mentioned specifically for elderly people.
That's right. So it's I think geriatric nursing is the technical term for the kind of American audience, and so you basically care for the elderly that are no longer able to care for themselves, right? So you have to clothe people, clean people, feed them, those kind of things.
And how did it started? Because you mentioned like the seminar. So how does it start? How do you get into this field?
I mean, first you have to, of course, let's see. So I need an apprenticeship to work professionally in the field. It's a 3-year program in Germany. It's part of our trade schools. Like we have an excellent trade school system here in Germany for plumbers, electricians, office clerks, and of course nurses as well. And it's a generalized 3-year program where you learn some geriatric nursing, some like regular hospital healthcare nursing, and even some, I suppose, mobile nursing, where you visit the patients in their own home, and you have these different kind of focuses and get some basics, and then afterwards you can work in each area. There's even a short edition of pediatrics, the medicine of children, and psychiatry. So it's meant to be very broad. It's was introduced in 2020, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. And
So that's the professional requirements.
okay, I see. And how long have you must you go through the program? For what's the training?
This is a 3-year program, and there is also a 1-year program if you only want to do the assistance. And if you do that, you can only do the basic care, like cleaning and dressing the patients and feeding them, but you're not allowed to do the more medical stuff, like perhaps taking blood pressure or cleaning a wound, or preparing medicine for the patients, and yeah.
I see.
So there's a kind of trade-off there, like depending on your needs.
I see. I see. And you are on the helping the patients, not on the medical side.
So I'm doing the 3-year program, so I could do both.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
In the day-to-day of like an elderly care facility, there isn't that much medical intervention that's needed on a consistent basis. So even the people that are qualified to do those more medical things rather than strictly care things, they still spend 80% of the time doing the basic care. And then, you have to sometimes apply new bandages or, check some vitals or maybe catheters or something like that.
I see. I see. And I imagine there are elderly homes where you go and you work there.
Yeah.
Are those run by the state or maybe the lander, or are they private? Like, how is that organized?
Speaking for Germany, it is split into 3 moderately equal parts. So one part is state-driven, run by the government. That's 1/3. Then you have 1/3 run by the churches, the Catholic Church and the Protestant Church. And I think some other small organizations count into that bracket and for tax reasons or whatever. And then 1/3 is strictly private with, of course, profit incentive.
Okay, okay, I see, I see. And how is it in terms of the people that go there? Like, are they away from their families, or are the families nearby, but they cannot take care of them because they work, or they maybe don't have enough money? Like, how is the social aspect of that?
I would say it's mostly the latter. So, since Germany has quite low unemployment, all things considered, and we have perhaps more of an individualized country compared to many southern cultures, it is common to, once the elderly person needs more than basic assistance, then you either let people visit you, like the mobile care providers, or you put them into a nursing home, which might be for the better, especially since towards the tail end the condition might rapidly worsen, or you might be out of your depth as a mere relative, right? That perhaps doesn't work in healthcare.
Yes, yes, of course, I see. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, culturally that would be different. Like in Greece, for example, and of course many other countries, it's more
Yeah,
common
many
for
other
the
southern
elders
nations.
to stay within the wider family, which of course is changing now because of how it is with the work dynamics and of course the city
Yeah.
dynamics. So of course it's changing. But if you go to the countryside, it's still like the elders are with the family; they are around.
Yeah, I think many southern cultures have this concept of the extended family as well. Whereas even traditionally in Germany, say 100 years ago, you had the, how do you say, atomic family? Nuclear family, right? Whereas father, mother, and then children, and that's the unit. And sometimes you may visit the grandpa or whatever, but they don't even live in the same city, usually.
Yes, 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 I see. Whereas in the southern countries, it's this extended family, exactly, where the children are expected to be with the parents even after adulthood. And if
Yeah.
they have their own house, for example, like your child builds their own house, it's right next door.
Yeah, there's also, and you have aunts and uncles around, and it's more of a bigger network. I think that's the norm as well in like Latin America, many parts of Africa, like Central Asia, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are more like the exception than the norm, like we in the West.
Yes,
Like what
I
we
see.
call the West, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, but on the other hand, you have a strong social security network, which
Oh
of
yeah,
course
for sure.
it's necessary. And I imagine the nursing homes are also like good quality places. They are not like rundown places. Of course, there may be, but I
Yeah.
imagine generally
It
speaking.
it it, it varies between facilities, but I think all of them can meet the objective of giving these old people like a dignified end of their life, because that's really at the core of it, right? I mean, economically speaking, the old people aren't doing anything, right? So if you are like hyper capitalist, like what do we have nursing homes for? But it's about the dignity of the human person, and it's even like both secular and religious people will agree that this is a worthy goal to spend some money on.
Mm-mm. What about the part on the topic of dignity? What about the socialization that the senior people get in, like, if they are this extended family? Nowadays, even if you have this extended family, because everybody will be away at work, the grandpa and grandmother, in practice, they are alone at home, maybe with one or two relatives close by. But at the nursing home,
Yeah.
they will be in the context of a lot of people, I imagine.
Yeah, this is also a major advantage of a nursing home, even if perhaps it's not strictly necessary. Like from a social perspective, where especially if you're not bedridden, like in the morning we come by, we clean you, we clothe you, and then you go to eat your breakfast with all the other residents that are able to, outside of their bed, eat food, even if they can't eat it on their own, actually. So we have patients in, how do you say, when you sit on the wheels?
Yeah, on the wheelchair.
Wheelchair, yeah. We have people in wheelchairs, but we still take them out. And then we feed them just so they have this at least superficial social interaction with people of the same age, and we have also people working full time as the direct translation eludes me, but kind of like entertaining or occupation stuff, like to do something with the residents, to talk to some of them, to do like simple games like throwing a ball back and forth, those kind of things.
Okay, I see. So there are these sorts of activities. Like, would the patients there do some kind of game, like a card game or something like?
I think that would be unusual, just because you have to imagine, to even get into the facility, you have to already be kind of run down. So either
Yes.
you have dementia or you have like terrible joints. So I don't think the majority of them can even play like simple card games. So yeah, you have to really break it down.
Yeah, I see.
But you have at least 4 meals a day.
Okay.
So breakfast, lunch, then some cake, and then dinner. So they get to meet up, and then they get back into their rooms and meet up again.
Yeah. Good. And is this, of course, I imagine in cities you have more facilities, but is this something that also exists in the countryside, if you know?
Yeah, it does. I think it's fairly proportional to the elderly population, right? It's one of the examples where the free market won, I think, and it worked out fine. So wherever there are old people that need it, there should be facilities.
Okay.
Maybe I think everywhere is a slight deficiency in terms of capacity. Just as with regular housing and stuff, I think that's a universal experience nowadays. But it's fine, I think, all things considered.
Okay, I see. Given the aging population, is this a discussion? Because of course, one of the talking points you hear nowadays is the demographic bomb. Like we have increasingly aging
Yeah.
populations, and well, who will take care of the elderly? There will be more elderly people than people in the workforce. I'm sure you have heard of all this. I don't know. Is that a discussion in this field? Is that something that's
Surely, yeah. I mean, it's a big factor of why I chose this specifically.
Mhm.
I mean, I like the kind of the medical undertones and just to do some basic manual labor where for much of the day I don't really have to engage intellectually much and I can kind of save that energy when I'm back home, learn some geography, learn some history, get into the humanities, which I've neglected for long. So,
Mhm, mhm,
um, but yeah, there's a demand and it's constant and it's rising because of the aging population. So, from the perspective of a caregiver, this is of course good news, right? So,
mhm.
if you are a care seeker, it might be difficult because as it goes with supply and demand, right? I mean, the supply of nursing facilities might not keep up proportional to the recipients that would need it.
Mhm. Exactly. What I'm thinking now, of course, is you mentioned already manual labor, and this is a labor intensive uh, field in the sense
Yeah,
that
yeah, it's
you have to
sure.
help the elderly to dress them, clean them, all that. That's something you have to do physically. What I'm basically trying to say is that it's not the kind of work that you can have some automation tool do in the background or whatever. It's more difficult to have automation here. I'm not saying it's impossible,
Yeah.
but more difficult.
Well, you can do some basic streamlining with the remaining bureaucracy. Like you have some bureaucracy in terms of documentation where some specialized software is helping out. But yeah, I mean, it's like electricians and plumbers, right? It's you can't really automate this away, at least not anytime soon. Like
Yeah.
even bricklayers and office clerks and stuff. Like if you're working in an office behind a screen, at least in theory, even if it can't be automated, it can always be outsourced, right? We have
That's as well.
about 1.6 billion Indians that are
Uh-huh.
eager to work, right? So
Uh-huh.
oftentimes they work for cheaper than perhaps a German with relatively speaking higher living costs. So
Mm.
yeah, this is a factor that's definitely in favor of this career.
I see. Okay. Because I was thinking in terms of the supply and demand of care seekers and caregivers and how that relates to modern technology, where basically it doesn't change much.
You can barely automate anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. And are there any political discussions on how to proceed with this? Like,
Not currently.
mhm.
During Corona, like the COVID pandemic,
Mhm.
that was a big discussion, and there was like some raises for the people. Like it's all tariff based, union based
Mm.
here in Germany for the healthcare sector.
Okay.
At least the vast majority is. So it's actually decently paid, I would say.
Mm.
And yeah, but now I think they kind of forgot again or like are purposefully ignoring it. Like this is one of the things, right? If you're only elected every 4 years, you're not necessarily incentivized to think about problems in 10 years.
Correct. Yeah, of course.
It's
That's
inherent to the political
yeah,
system.
of course. That's one of the major downsides of the electoral cycle and how democracy is
Yeah.
nowadays. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and when your issues like this field are, of course, the longer term issues. So yeah, you have to have a longer term perspective on how you are going to deal with them, because of course you are dealing with it right now, the people who need care right now, but you also have to think like 5 years down the line, what is happening, what is it going to look like?
I think especially from the German perspective, since we are all in all still a wealthy nation, like we can do the parasitic thing and just buy the nurses out of all the other countries. So that's what we are doing right now, basically. Like
of course,
90% of the nurses I worked with are from Latin America, Africa, Eastern Europe.
Oh, yeah. Okay, interesting. Eastern Europe to me is expected, yes, also because of the EU citizenship, European citizenship.
Sure.
But Latin America and I think you mentioned Africa. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, and I mean they are perhaps even more motivated than some of the German colleagues because for them living in Germany is already it's an upgrade, and they're happy to work, and they like the job, and it's nice. It's a win-win for at least us as a German society and the imported personnel.
Yes, of course. And because I have talked to people from Latin America, specifically Brazilians in this case, they had visited the United Kingdom and they went to the northern parts of England, where basically it's quite dark and quite rainy. So if you go from Brazil to that part of the world, it's a really big difference. But Germany is more moderate. It's not that much. Like it will rain, but it's okay.
I mean, it's a bit cold for my taste. Like if I ever move countries, I'm going a bit south, I think. Maybe Bulgaria, Greece.
Sure.
Or one of the city-states as well. I like those. Maybe Malta or Andorra.
I see. But I imagine in Germany, like if you go towards the south, well, of course,
I'm already in the south. So.
Okay.
Yeah. No point moving any further.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to go really south.
Yeah,
people are divided on this. Most German people I've met, they are like, I'm happy to go south, but not past Croatia, like that's the border basically. Not
I believe the majority opinion is that summer is too hot and winter is great, so let's all stay in Germany or even move upwards to Norway or whatever. But I can't relate. Like for me, it's too cold 9 months of the year, I think. I like summer, and then it's already gone again. Yeah.
That's difficult. Where I am here, I'm in Cyprus, of course. So in the mountains, it's more cold than what you would expect from Southern Europe. But so I would say in that regard, it's closer to Western Europe. But it's still warm enough, like 6 months of the year, or quite warm 6 months of the year. The big difference is the sunshine. There is much more sun time than Western Europe.
Due to it being an island, do you know?
I think it has to do with the specific geography where, because of how it is, the clouds don't stick around. So it is an island, yes, but also there aren't any big mountain ranges to it. So that could trap mountains, basically. Trap clouds,
Yeah, so I think the whole nursing thing, it's I can say it's a very human activity. So in the 2 weeks of internship that I did, I must say it all feels very natural to do. Like, and especially if you have like this context of like you're providing these people with like essential services and like protecting their dignity at the end of their life. Like even sometimes it's a bit some dirty work, right? If you have to like change a diaper or something, but I mean, it's fine. I can deal with it.
Yeah, I think you get used to that, especially when you are motivated to help someone. And of course, me, I have had experience with not relative, but family friend, so like a relative,
Yeah.
who had dementia, and you really feel that okay, I want to give you, I want to be there for you. Let me do this for you, and there is something there that gets triggered, and you really feel it.
I actually like some of the dementia patients. I think sometimes they are quite funny, like when they get confused on some issues, and they're not even like, especially beyond a certain threshold of dementia, you forget that you have dementia,
Hmm.
and then you're not really sad anymore. You're just kind of,
Yeah, 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 exactly.
perhaps even a different personality, or like
Hmm.
you're happy again. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course. So there is a side to it that is endearing for sure.
yeah, I think overall, especially like if it's not your own parents and stuff, right? It's easier to deal with, a lot easier.
Yeah, 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 of course. But you know that it's somebody else's parents, and you can
Yeah,
relate to how it is basically. So,
and
uh,
and that motivates you to help them, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah. So eventually, it's. I think ultimately it's the same reaction after a while.
perhaps,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because the reason I'm saying this is because you are already caring to be there. Uh,
right, yeah.
so yeah. Anyway, I say we call it a day because I have the
That's a good
electricity,
point. Yeah,
and we already covered a lot of ground anyway. But I have the
yeah. We
electricity
covered a lot of
beeping.
ground.
I hear it.
Hmm.
So yeah.
All right,
Thank
then
you very much. Yes.
I'll send you the links for the description, and then
Yes, yes. Please send me
all right,
everything for everything you mentioned and anything more you want to include. So I'm fine.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very good, very good. So thank you for your time and take care and good luck in everything you do and this noble cause of helping the elderly.
All right then.
So take
See
care
ya.
and good night from my side. Bye bye, bye bye. I will close
Goodbye.
here and then stop the recording. So bye bye. And stopping now the recording. Take care, folks. Goodbye.